What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg happening this weekend, and it's an excellent card. I mean, this card for sure has to deliver at least a few fights. There's no way that they're not going to deliver just because of the styles and the mentality of these fighters. Now, there's some interesting fights in the prelims and even the Fight Pass, but I'll just cover the main card for this one. So let's start with Glover Teixeira versus Misha Cirkunov. This is an interesting fight because they're trying to get back on the winning column, right? Both of them have just gotten obliterated or outclassed in their last fights. Glover got completely outclassed by Gustafsson, and Cirkunov got just annihilated by Volkan Oezdemir, and that put Oezdemir on the map. And these two actually pair up pretty well. Glover is more of a boxer, wrestler, but has elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I would like to see him use it a lot more. I mean, he's so willing to box with his opponents, and it used to do pretty well, but if you actually look at some of his fights, it's really his grappling that outshines everything else. I mean, you go back and you look at the Kyle Kingsbury fight, his grappling shined in that fight. You go back to the Ryan Bader fight, yeah, he knocked him out, but he got stunned in that fight. You look at Quentin Jackson, it was pretty much a boxing match. His boxing actually prevailed in that fight. Maldonado, he actually outclassed him, mostly because of the ground, but he did also on the feet, but he got stunned at one point too by Maldonado. So I would like to see him go to his roots, to his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know he likes to box a lot, and he's really good with his hooks. His takedowns are pretty good, and his ability to completely overwhelm the opponent on the ground and pressure them and control them on the ground and look for those guillotines, it's amazing, you know. Now, on the feet, he doesn't move at all, really. He looks to just stand toe-to-toe, stand in the pocket, exchange punches. He keeps his guard really high. He takes almost like a traditional boxing approach, almost a peekaboo style. He likes to move his head side to side and stuff, but he is susceptible to the uppercut. You saw it in the Anthony Johnson fight, and you saw it in Alexander Gustafsson fight. He likes to dip his head down forward a lot, and he doesn't see those uppercuts coming when he does that, and he's kind of ducking right into uppercuts. And that could be scary. Now, Misha Cirkunov doesn't really have that proficient boxing, but that is something he's probably going to be working on in this fight. Glover hits extremely hard. He's one of the hardest punchers in the division, but it's really the hooks that he likes to commit with, especially the left hook. Like I said before, his takedowns are really good, and everything on the ground, I think he'll have an advantage over Cirkunov. Now, Misha Cirkunov, he's a pretty well-rounded fighter himself. He also is a powerful striker, as well as extremely strong in the grappling. I mean, he's really hard to control in there, especially in the clinch and when you're trying to shoot takedowns on him. He's also good with takedowns himself. He's good with some submissions too. He's good with masking the high kicks behind his punches, and he likes that blitz a lot. But he does leave himself open over the top at times. Now, this is a hard fight to call, though, because Glover is getting up there in age, and he's taken a lot of punishment in his career, so I don't know if he's going to be able to beat Cirkunov. On paper, I would like Glover to win this fight, but when you take in these kind of factors, these X factors, I probably have to side with Cirkunov. So in this fight, I'm going to go with Misha Cirkunov, and I'm actually going to go by a second round TKO or third round TKO. I can easily see Glover winning using his grappling skills, controlling the fight and riding out to possibly a decision, or potentially get in some kind of submission like a rear naked choke or a guillotine. But my official prediction, I'm going to go with Cirkunov. Then we go to Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Mike Perry. I mean, I'm going to be surprised if this even gets out the second round. You got two hothead, brawling, aggressive, stand toe-to-toe and just throw hands kind of fighters. I mean, they're both so proud of their skills, of their ability to just overwhelm the opponent with their boxing. They both have good chins, they both have extreme power, and they both have that no back down mentality. So this is going to be probably your fight of the night if it doesn't end early, or it's gonna be the performance of the night for sure. Now, Santiago Ponzinibbio is pretty much a boxer. He has good movement though, and he throws a lot of output early on. He's an extremely fast starter. Good with the jabs, good with the hooks. I mean, he has a lot of variety in his boxing skills. He has good angles as well. He's good with the straight right hand. He's good with that jab. He's good with the uppercuts, and especially the hooks. And not only that, it's hard to see his punches come sometimes, because he doesn't wind up on his straight punches that much. He kind of just pops them out there. He's also good at pulling back after his punches. On his retractions, he's never in that range. He'll throw a punch and then back away slightly as he's retracting his punch to see the opponent's reaction. And usually the opponent likes to punch back at him. He's able to slip back on it and then return with another shot. And like I said, his punches There's no real wind-up to a lot of them. It's just all coming from where they're positioned. And he has extreme power, and he has fast hands. His punching speed it's incredible. He's pressuring as well. Now, he will move around at times, but he is really good at cutting the opponent off and finding his openings on their defense, especially with those straight punches and the uppercuts. His takedown defense is pretty good as well. He's hard to hold down if you get him down, and he's really good at breaking the grips in the clinch. Now, I don't think it's going to go that route. I think it's going to be a striking battle. So when we go to Mike Perry, his technique and his punching form and everything is not as good as Santiago Ponzinibbio's, but he's much more physical in that he will get in there and get dirty with his opponent. He'll get in the clinch at times. He's good with the elbows in the clinch especially. He's more of a boxer as well. He's a little bit more wild than Ponzinibbio, and he doesn't throw as much output, but he is just as aggressive. He commits with hooks a lot, and the big thing about Mike Perry is his composure under fire is incredible too. Shots will get fired at him from all angles, and he will stay composed under there. It's like it's natural to him. Even if he gets hit, he doesn't show it that he's hurt at all. Even when Alan Jouban dropped him, he got up like nothing happened to him. And that could be discouraging against Ponzinibbio, but I don't think he'll be able to do that against Ponzinibbio. If he lands on Perry, it's going to be trouble, and vice versa. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Santiago Ponzinibbio. I'm going to go by a second round knockout. I think Mike Perry's chin will prevail for the first round. But I don't know why. I have this feeling that Mike Perry might pull off a knockout, showing his progression in the sport. I don't know why, but I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio. I'm going to go with more technical approaches and everything like that. Then we go to the co-main event, Rafael Lamas versus Josh Emmett. It's an interesting fight. You got two kind of wrestlers, but Rafael Lamas has developed his striking pretty well. Now, this is a huge opportunity for Josh Emmett. You don't get thrown Rafael Lamas and not take advantage of this. Lamas is the number 3 ranked featherweight, I think, or number 4 ranked or something like that. So this is the opportunity to take advantage of this. His striking is not too bad, and he really excels in the grappling and the wrestling. I think that other world of striking completely goes on Rafael Lamas' side. The wrestling, I think, is going to be pretty even. If not, Josh Emmett might have the advantage there and the ability to control Lamas. But Lamas has that submission threat, and he has that footwork of his cardio, his experience in going 3 rounds, hard 3 rounds. And he does have pretty good power as well. And his striking technique, I think, is overall better than Josh Emmett's. I mean, his jab is so precise. You saw him drop Dennis Bermudez with it, who's a tough fighter. He throws spinning kicks as well. Now, I don't think he's going to go that route. I think he's going to use his traditional boxing and maybe land some high kicks as well to avoid the takedown threat from Josh Emmett, because I think that's Emmett's biggest way of winning the fight, and then riding it to a decision possibly. And the takedown defense of Rafael Lamas, I think, is going to be there. But I do see him getting taken down once or twice after hard-fought takedown battles. I think Josh Emmett leaves himself exposed sometimes. My prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Rafael Lamas. I'm going to go by a 2nd or 3rd round TKO. His ability to just catch Emmett on the feet constantly, and Emmett just constantly trying to go for that takedown, I think is going to be his downfall, and eventually TKO him. And then we go to the main event, and probably the fight everybody's been looking forward to. Robbie Lawler versus Rafael Dos Anjos, and this fight has been regarded as the winner will fight Tyron Woodley. So it's extremely important. Not only is it important in that sense, the stylistic matchup between these two is going to make it fireworks. Fighting Robbie Lawler, he's going to force a fight on you. There's no way you're going to get around and try to stall the fight on him. Or even if you try to go the takedown route, he has some of the best takedown defense I've ever seen. So he's going to make it a striking battle with you. You've seen it in the first fight with Rory McDonald. Rory was trying to slow down the fight like he was doing back then. And Robbie Lawler just brought the fight to him, and that's how he won. Now, Dos Anjos does the same thing. He wants to force the action. You're not going to just sit back on him. You're not just going to slow the fight on him. So you got 2 aggressive strikers, 2 fighters that don't back down, and 2 fighters that are willing to brawl with each other. It's going to be another exciting fight, most likely. But I would have to think that Dos Anjos is going to use more of an elusive approach. He doesn't want to get in too much of a brawling exchange with the bigger, stronger Lawler, because we would have to think that Lawler probably has the more power, and he's much stronger too. So when we go to Lawler, he's mostly a boxer on the feet, if you have to generalize it. But he has some good high kicks, he has some good knees when he has the openings for them. He mostly likes to just strike with his hands. Good with setting up strikes. His left cross and his left hook are his best weapons. His jab is precise as well, as he steps in there with it, and he also likes to move on the outside to the right. But that probably could leave him exposed to the left overhand of Dos Anjos. He's good at setting up the left hand. He's usually really effective with it against orthodox fighters. He's good at slipping on the outside, get his foot on the outside, and land it straight down the middle. He's usually effective that way. Now he's fighting a southpaw. That outside foot advantage is going to be taken away. But that opens up another great weapon from Robbie Lawler, and that's a check right hook. His check right hook is also vicious. I think most of his knockouts actually come from that check right hook, or some of his most vicious knockouts have come from there. And like I said before, his takedown defense is some of the best I've ever seen, especially in welterweight. And his chin is granite. No one could really question his heart. His ability to just keep going on and on it's amazing to see sometimes. You saw it in some of the best fights he's ever been in with Carlos Condit and Roy McDonald, fights that no one wants to get into. And he just thrives in that action. His cardio is amazing as well. He doesn't get tired. He's able to go hard 5 rounds and just keep going on. And he will get tired like you saw in the Carlos Condit fight. But who wouldn't have gotten tired in that fight? So yeah, he has that experience to go hard 5 rounds with big 170ers. Rafael Dos Anjos is going to be the smallest guy Robbie Lawler has ever fought. And Robbie Lawler is going to be the biggest guy Dos Anjos has ever fought. And that goes to Dos Anjos, he has much more variety. Not only does he have much more variety on the feet, from his light kicks to his high kicks, to his clinching with knees and everything, but he has that whole realm of the grappling. Complete advantage over Robbie Lawler. Other than the wrestling, I would say. The wrestling, I think, Lawler might have the advantage, especially defensively. But if it gets to the ground, Robbie Lawler is going to have a lot of trouble on the ground, because this is going to be the best BJJ fighter he's ever fought. And Dos Anjos, if he gets you on the ground, good luck on the ground trying to transition on him or reverse him or even try to defend his submissions. Because he will grab on those submissions as soon as the opening comes up. Now, on the feet, he's really good with his left cross as well. Now, he has a shorter reach than Lawler. Now, he's going to have to really time and use that footwork to get in that distance, which he is pretty good at. He's good with cutting off the opponent as well. He's good with that jab. He's good with throwing punches and then leaning and pulling back on them. Very similar to what Santiago and Ponzinibbio does. Good with getting the opponent on the cage, throwing punches at them, get them to overextend themselves, and he would pull back and he'll go under for a takedown. His leg kicks are absolutely vicious. You saw that in the Neil Magny fight, even at welterweight. I mean, he's gotten much thicker, and those kicks are going to have much more impact. If you give him that opening, he will explode on you. He has some serious power as well. He has a pretty good chin, and his cardio is amazing. He will be able to match Robbie Lawler in the cardio. So my prediction for the fight, it's a tough fight to call. This is a really tough fight to call. But I'm going to go with Robbie Lawler, and I'm going to go by a 2nd or 3rd round TKO. I think his power and his aggressiveness and his pressure and his ability to go blow for blow with Dos Anjos, I think it's going to cost Dos Anjos. So yeah, those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to have my podcast next week on Tuesday, so I'm going to leave below a comment labeled questions for the podcast. Just leave your questions under there, and the comments with the most likes are going to get read first. Now, you could leave questions on my Twitter. Hashtag them MMA meeting, because if not, I won't be able to read them. I don't want to get lost in all different kind of tweets. So if you're going to ask me on Twitter, please just hashtag it MMA meeting. Then I'll be able to get to that, and I read those first, actually, before the YouTube comments. So that's going to be on Tuesday. It's also going to be on iTunes. It's going to be on SoundCloud. Now, I'm trying to get it on other kind of platforms. It's taking me a little bit. Be on the lookout for that as well. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.